Well, many thanks to you both for being on Words, Images, and Worlds. And I know that we are talking about the world of documentary here and a career retrospective. So, welcome. And I suppose the first question might go to Mr. Mackey. When did you first hear the name Doug Jones?
Oh,
Oh,
oh, that's
now I am perplexed. Let me see. Well, it probably would have been Hellboy
hmm
and not back then, not connecting the dots for who exactly he was. Like, not knowing Buffy or some of the previous things, and that was, before we met as well. So probably Hellboy. And then, because the first time I met Doug was actually at a convention in Germany, and it was right on the heels of Pan's Labyrinth, which is my favorite film of all time. So, knowing who Doug was one thing, but then being able to meet the man and put all the pieces of the puzzle together was right after Pan's Labyrinth. So, yeah. And then we'd been
back
basically,
when we met at a convention in 2007. That's when that was. He followed up because I didn't really have a rep at the time. I was kind of doing conventions on my own when I went and horribly. I didn't handle them well. I watched him work with all of his clients, his actor clients at this convention. I was like, oh my gosh, I need one of him. So we ended up chatting and kept in touch after that. And it was like a matter of 2 months before I signed on with him. And I've been with him for 18 years since then, with no one else handling me for my appearances. And I don't know who else I could trust at this point. So when it came to him having an idea to make a documentary about me, I'm like, well, if anybody could do it, it would be him. Even though I told him no twice.
yeah.
Because the idea of a documentary is like, are you kidding? What's to document? It's humbling, it's embarrassing, stop it. But then, so he finally, on the third try, he finally convinced me that he'd handle it with kit gloves, and he brought a director in that we trust too very much.
hmm
To so that,
Yep.
that that's how that started.
Yep.
What sensibility were you looking for in the director? What was it important to bring on that side of the project?
So most documentaries can be boring talking heads. You can lose track and be like flip the channel. I'm a huge documentary watcher. I watch whether it's making ofs or history things, it doesn't matter. I love documentaries partly because I hate to read. So I watched a film called Making Apes, which is a documentary about the makeup and the history of the Planet of the Apes franchise, the original. And I was blown away at the storytelling that was involved with it. And it wasn't just talking heads. And a friend of mine was friends with that director. So he introduced me. And I raved to him about how great the film was and how proud I was of him. And I didn't even know the guy. And then it was just after seeing it and Doug turning me down twice for this documentary, I went, wait a minute. That's how I'm going to get Doug to do this because I'm going to introduce him to this amazing creative director who can take a documentary and add elements to it to tell and weave a story and not just have it be talking heads.
Yeah.
And so that's what drew me to him. It's Making Apes, by the way, for all of you who are watching. It's available on Amazon, so please watch it, and you will see, a little bit of what the director William Conlon is all about and what he does. And I just felt that he would be able to tell this story. I come from filmmaking. I went to film school, but directing a documentary is very different than directing a fictitious tale. And I was sitting and killing myself on over. It's like, well, I want to do this, but I wouldn't be able to direct it because my film would be talking heads and people would be bored. So I'm so happy that William came into my life and was able to join in with me and do this. And he was, when I told him what I wanted to do and the idea of it, he's like, you want me? And he's like, and Doug will agree to this? And I'm like, well, no, you're going to help me get Doug to agree to this. So yeah.
So they ganged up on me in
Ah,
we were about to start day one of a Star Trek convention in Las Vegas. And Derek t texted me like before we go down to the convention floor, stop by my hotel room. I want to talk over something with you. I get in there and there sits William Conlon, the director. I'd like to introduce you to William and background documentary. And I was like,
mhm.
oh Here we go again. Oh no, 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 no. So, but now I realize, okay, I see that the storytelling can happen with his guidance and Derek having the long running business relationship he has with me, and also we're like family now too. I really trust that he'll make a story that won't embarrass me. I hope. Uh, so I'm like, okay, I finally said, well, all right, yes, let's do this then. If you promise me I don't have to work too hard to, pull it together myself. I just want to show up and talk on camera and maybe help you get some phone numbers for my family and that kind of. So they're like, great. And so the cameras come out and they follow me down to the floor that day and start filming and got enough footage on day one of that Trek convention to probably make it a documentary of
Right.
itself,
Yeah.
between all of the fan interaction and the time on stage doing a panel and the photo ops and the thing and getting fan reactions. They got testimonials from a lot of people after they left my table, like, well, how was your experience with Doug? So already they had a lot of material to work with. I'm like, oh, this. So that was 2 years ago. You can imagine
Yep.
how much footage has been shot since then of all the events and all of the interviews they've gotten.
We are going to have three versions of the film. There's going to be the theatrical cut, there, which is 2 hours. We're going to have the director's cut, which is 4 hours. And then we're going to have the super duper pooper executive producer cut that'll be 6 hours, or the mini series. We haven't decided yet. So,
Who's going to want to see 6 hours of me? I don't want to watch that. So
yeah.
I can't
Well,
imagine. I can't imagine.
I am sure there's lots of story to tell. What were some of those important elements for both of you that you wanted to bring through in this?
Well, for me, I have talked about my career from beginning to now ad nauseum. Like I've done more business bullet points interviews, and that's what I didn't want to be. I didn't want to rehash that on film. Yes, of course, those bullet points have to be included, but I wanted to pull in the personal side of me. Like my three older brothers, I'm the youngest of four boys. I want my brothers interviewed so that we can get family, childhood Dougie, what created adult Dougie, and also one of my favorite elements we already shot now is we tracked down my high school drama teacher from Indiana who now lives in Florida. So we were in Florida for another thing, and she came and saw us for the day, and I had not seen her in over 40 years. And so we didn't stage this. It actually happened on camera for reals. We saw each other for the first time in over 4 decades. The screaming, the face cupping, the tears, the hand holding, the huggles, the and the storytelling and the nostalgic, reminiscing that we did.
that was the
Oh,
easiest shoot for us. So
oh,
we,
it was
so
wonderful.
Doug and I were downstairs in the lobby. The director and I planned this exactly this way, is that she was going, not in the lobby. I met her in the lobby with the director and brought her upstairs. We told Doug, stay in your room because we didn't want them to see each other. We brought them to my room to be interviewed. And while the director was interviewing her, I went back to Doug's room to get him, and I'm waiting on my phone to say, bring Doug down. So they literally, even in we didn't want them to run into each other, at the cafe at the hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
So here come, they're like, okay, bring Doug down. And my first thing was, you've only been talking to her for 10 minutes or something. Like it was so short. And he went, trust me, you're gonna understand why when you're in the room.
Yeah,
Didn't know what that meant till we got there.
yeah.
You guys gushed and gushed and gushed and gushed and gushed.
And
And
then,
then
then we sat together on a
right,
sofa, and the rest of the interview was us talking
it's just
back
you
and forth.
talking.
We interviewed each other.
Exactly. We
Oh,
didn't have
wow.
Yeah.
anything. And then the director pokes me and says, look at your phone. And I'm looking. He goes, do you get it now? And I went, exactly. He didn't have to ask anything. It was so
Yeah.
sweet. And she's so sweet.
She's so sweet. And
Yeah.
she showed up to this interview too, with a folder that had clippings from newspapers and magazines of like interviews I've done over the years and critical, um, like reviews from movies and
Mm.
TV that I've done over the years that she's been collecting all this time. I didn't know she'd been tracking my career all this time. So to be able to tell her, like, you were the first person who took teenage Dougie and made and could do something with his hopes and dreams. You were the first person who did that. I got to gush on her about that, and then she got to, can you imagine being a teacher and having a kid that you meet at 14 years old, and then now he's 65 sitting in front of you, qualifying for Medicare. Think of how that is for her. You know what I mean? and and
Mhm.
and, and
She's
the,
probably checking her pulse, going,
yeah,
am I
yeah.
still alive? Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, she looks great. She's only 75, 76.
So, and that one's okay.
Yeah, 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 oh, go,
Okay,
yes,
so I
go.
try to give every podcast we're on some sort of exclusive because I want them to be a little bit different. So this is going to be
Mhm.
your exclusive.
There you
Oh,
go.
great.
No one has seen this picture yet.
I hadn't seen it until just now.
Okay,
I
so
love it.
this is Doug and his teacher on set for the documentary.
Oh, we love it. We love it. And I am a teacher, so this is perfect.
Oh, that worked
Oh,
out. That was
that's
the
Love
universe
it.
bringing it
even better,
together.
even better.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
So
right.
that is your exclusive. So there you go.
There it is. The storytelling journey.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So there's a lot. So I'm excited about this documentary for is not just another rehashing of my career, but just like 65 years of life and what's going to make a good story. We're getting all of it, and they'll I trust them to put it together in some kind of a narrative that makes sense.
Nice, nice. In going through this process, was there a part of the documentary process that was most enriching for you? It sounds like this was certainly one of those, or
Oh
maybe a
yeah.
part of your life or career you saw in a different way.
Well. Yeah, it's not until other people start talking about you that you realize the effect you have on them. Because from my perspective, I'm still a geeky teenager from Indiana that doesn't know what he's doing. That's all I will ever think of myself. So when I haven't, they've kept all the interviews away from me. So, but Derek has hinted that like everybody is gushing about you. I'm like, Really? So that's kind of eye-opening. Like you don't know the effect you have on people until they sit down and talk about it. And so,
Some of them have cried
no,
during their
no,
interviews,
that's so
like
sweet.
genuine, like you could see the welling happen and they weren't faking it. They were, and then it's like just they're like, I'm like, go ahead, cry, cry, cry. So
Mm,
no, it's gonna be
yeah.
great. It's gonna be great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the first question I threw out was, how did you get to know the name Doug Jones? What makes Doug kind of the ideal focus of a documentary? What were some of the parts of the story there that were most fascinating for you?
So this is my love letter to Doug. I have been with Doug for 18 years now, and I have celebrated triumphs with him. I have had him cry on my shoulder when something has gone wrong. I've watched him have highs and lows, and but the one thing I've never seen is him get the accolades that he deserves in my eyes. So I wanted to partly do this as an accolade to him so that it's showing everybody what goes into the performances that he's done, what his life story and journey has brought to his personality, which comes out on the silver screen in all of his characters. And to the slightest bit of a degree, it is also my way of wanting to get the Academy's attention to say, hey, look, guys, why have you never given this man an Oscar? He's been in Oscar nominated films and he's been in Oscar not winning films like The Shape of Water, but Doug himself does not have a statue. And I don't need them to give him one because of this.
No.
I want more to get their attention going, guys, what are you doing? Back in the day, Lon Chaney got it, and then it kind of took a back seat because of the way politics ran, not political politics, but in, business,
Yeah, showbiz
showbiz
politics.
politics.
Yeah.
And you get to a level of where it's like, well, it all got forgotten. And to date in history, one of the key films that kind of broke that mold was Disney's Beauty and the Beast. It was the first animated film. But
In
here's
the best picture
in Best
category.
Picture
Yeah.
category. But here's the thing. That should have never been an issue. It should have always been available because an animated film, even though an actor doesn't appear on screen, you still have a full casting crew with directors and producers and writers and special effects artists and animators that are bringing a story to life. And when you watch all the behind the scenes stuff on like all the Disney DVDs, you're watching the actors in the voice booth act. And some of the animators are drawing like the facial expressions these. So an animated film, just because it's animated, doesn't make it any less than like Gone with the Wind or The Wizard of Oz or Star Wars or any of that. So it's kind of the same with this is I watch what Doug does with his characters and why does no one recognize that? So
Right.
we're going to try and get people's attention about it.
I will absolutely agree with you there in terms of the embodied performances that it really comes through on the screen every time. And speaking of those professional connections, I know that some of the cast members from Star Trek Discovery are speaking in the documentary. Mike Mignola is listed as being in the documentary. So, any of those voices that you'd like to mention that were really important to include?
Was that for me or for Doug?
Oh, I was going to start with you, but if Doug
Oh,
wants to add any
yeah.
in, that would be wonderful.
Well, you've been seeing more of this than I have. I don't
Yeah.
know who else.
So we've been very lucky. Everyone that we've approached has said yes so far, which is great. We've not had a single no. The biggest hurdle we've had are people not getting back to us because if we don't have direct connect to the actor, because maybe Doug has their email or phone, we have to go through their agents. And look, they get tons of requests for stuff. So a lot of the producing side of what I've had to do is chasing certain people. So we still have a lot of interviews that aren't up yet. And just to be clear, the only names that we release are the ones that are actually on camera,
Have been filmed.
who
Yeah.
are actually filmed and done. So those are the ones that you see on IMDb. There are names that we've already secured, but they have not filmed yet. So we don't want to put them on IMDb in case something happens. They get a gig, they're sick, whatever, and they
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah.
So we do have some people coming up, and then we do have some people that we need to finish and get an actual yes or no on. But what's been great is everyone's been saying yes. Everyone has nothing but nice things to say about Doug. We did try with the first few interviews to get some dirt on him, and we realized very quickly that that was never going to happen.
Which makes me feel unsure of what I've said yes to. I, I was, I told you I'm in great hands. He's, I've trusted appearance manager for 18 years, and he's trying to dig
Mhm.
on me. Yeah, it's like, what? So anyway, I'm glad to hear that nobody's bitten that tempting doll that you're.
But we don't even ask it anymore because it's not even
Okay,
worth it. We
okay.
just we need the stories. But so with all that said, it's I have been humbled with the people that have agreed, and I've loved hearing their stories, and I can't wait for Doug to hear them because as he said,
Mm,
he knows the same thing you know. He reads on IMDb who we got,
that's all I know.
and
Yeah.
that's yeah.
So it's going to be a surprise when I see who
Mm.
said what.
But I suppose Doug could answer to the like he knows that Noah and Saniq are in it.
Yeah.
I suppose you could say how
Mhm.
you feel about them agreeing, I guess.
Well, yeah. Sonequa Martin Green and Noah Wiley are two lead actors, number one on call sheets from two different series that I was a regular on. Falling Skies
Mhm.
for Noah, and of course Star Trek Discovery with Sonequa. So when actors of that stature say, "Yes, I would love to be in a documentary talking about Doug," it's like, oh, it's just so humbling. I'm like, I didn't even want to ask. Oh gosh. So if they had nice things to say, then that's very satisfying and fulfilling that our time together meant something to them too, not just to me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always interested in craft and creative process as well. So it sounds like there was humility in this for you. There was the risk of vulnerability. Are those pieces of your consideration in your craft, or those parts of yourself that you like to channel in different ways when you're performing?
Oh yeah, sure. Any actor is going to have to use some of themselves in every character they play. I mean, you have to.
Mhm.
Every character I play is infused with one part of Dougie, if not a few. And so you mentioned the word vulnerable. I have lived a life of fear and anxiety. That's just kind of part of who I am. So, which is silly that I would choose acting, isn't it? Put yourself out there for ridicule. So, it does every acting role that I do does feel vulnerable in some way or another because you're up for critique. And that would be a vulnerability not just to the audience, but also to the people you're working with. If you ask a co-star, like, what are your impressions of the guy you were acting next to? That gives them a chance to say he sucked. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
so it all feels very, very like, ah. But so if it's going well so far, I'll let things be. Ah.
You said silly, I will say brave. It's a brave way of taking on any sort of trepidation. I'll say that. Any new appreciation that you have for Doug as part of this process and as you're looking back at what's been completed so far?
Wow, another good question.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
wow.
try, we try. And this is pre-recorded, so if you need a moment, I can,
Yeah,
of
no, I
course, take that
appreciate
out.
that. I think, okay, yes, I do have one. So, and it took me a minute to get there, but, and he'll understand why. So, we got to film at Sealand, and we'll explain what Sealand is in a minute, but I want to answer the question first. For as long as I've known Doug, if he's cried on my shoulder, I understood why. It was clear. If he's excited about something, but excited as an adult, I understand why he's happy. If he goes to the red carpet and he's walking the red carpet and he's at a premiere, that part of that type of Doug I get. What I never expected to see was a childlike enthusiasm and excitement, almost like going to Disney World for the first time. Never saw that in Doug in all the years I've known him, but I saw it when we went to Sealand because he wanted to do it so badly, and I could not believe that I pulled it off.
I can't believe you did either.
Oh my God, it was
So
amazing.
we need to tell you what Sealand
Yes,
is.
yes.
Sealand is the smallest country in the world. It's like what they call a micronation. And it is actually a platform that was used as a military outpost that Great Britain's, I think their Navy put out in World War II. It was one of many defense posts out in the water from the English Channel north into the North Sea, kind of separating or defending their shorelines from whatever would be coming over from Europe. And
Hmm.
so after World War II ended, they tore all these down. One of them was kind of just outside British-owned waters, so they kind of left it up. 19, there it is. 19,
Wow. Hmm.
1967, a gentleman named Roy goes out there, plants a flag, and says, "My country. This is Sealand." So it has been Sealand since 1967. And he has his own. So he has passed away now, but he had his son Prince Michael is now the reigning monarch, and he has kids that are now princes and princesses. And so anyway, I did a deep dive into Sealand when I saw an ad come up on my Facebook, of all places, that you could buy a title in Sealand. I'm like, oh, Sealand. I've played two sea creatures in my career. This sounds perfect. So I've always been had a fascination with nobility and royalty. So you can buy a title, and they had Lord, Lady,
Baron.
Baron, Count, and the highest one you could purchase was Duke or Duchess. And I'm like, oh
Hmm.
wow. And with that comes the honor of being called Your Grace. Well, I wanted to be His Grace Douglas Jones of Sealand. Of course I did. So so I sat on it for a month because it wasn't cheap. and and I did all the research, and read all the articles about Sealand. I watched all the documentaries about Sealand. I watched all of the BBC reports on Sealand, and by the end of it, it's like, oh, I love what they are. It's like that their motto is "E Mare Libertas" in Latin, which means the freedom of the sea. I'm like, oh, okay, so
Hmm.
they're all about freedom and doing having the freedom to do what they want without too much government control over them. So they're their own thing. They're their own kingdom, you
Mhm.
know? So I'm like, yes, I want to be a part. I want to be a Duke in that. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
so with that in mind, I got my Duke title in the fall of 2021. So this past fall of 25, 4 years later, we were doing a couple conventions over in the UK. And while we were there, we had weekdays between these two conventions, and Derek, he reached out to Sealand, got to their PR people all the way up to Prince Michael himself,
Yep.
and arranged for a day for us to go out and visit, because you can't just go out and visit there. You have to make special arrangements for them to invite you. They did. They welcomed it. We filmed everything. And so that is going to be a special element to this documentary that no podcast or interview about my career has ever dipped
Mhm.
into. You know what I mean?
Here's the key. So Prince Michael knew exactly who Doug was,
Yeah.
which is part of how I got it pulled off. And then when we met them for the first time, him and his wife had things to be signed for
Yes.
her and her son.
Princess May.
And it
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
aha. So the fact that these people even knew who Doug
I
was,
was baffled,
it,
but yeah.
it was, yeah. And so it's, and so I joined Sealand as well, partly because I didn't want Doug, I had to one up Doug. So I'm a Duke as well. And but part of the reason why I went for it was because I like that one of they work with some charities, and one of the charities they work for is For Ocean, which is cleaning up the oceans and protecting sea life. And I really like that. And
Yeah.
whenever you're buying a title, or if you get buy anything from them, like Doug bought me my little flag. We have a little sea land
Yeah,
flag.
there's
It's on
some
Very
my,
nice. Very
like,
nice.
all the merchandise and everything goes for their cause. It's not like they're pocketing the money. It's
yeah.
for the building up their brand in essence in their country. So to me, it was like, well, wait a minute. This isn't just buying a title. You're providing them the ability to spread the word and to grow.
Mhm.
And I really admire that. And I was going to Sealand for me was like going to Disneyland, because
It
once we were
was
there, it was like
amazing.
it's incredible.
Such a
So
cool, yeah, that
yeah.
was a favorite day. Yeah.
Now I'm feeling like I should have applied to be a Duke before I started this interview. I'm the only person that's not a Duke. This is
I
amazing.
know, right? Eh,
Well, I know that we're coming up on 30 minutes of chatting in just a moment, and I want to honor your time. Um, where can I find out more about the documentary, any of those sort of details that you want to share about Get Me Doug Jones?
Sure. So it's very simple. GetMeDougJones.com is the film's official website. So you can go there and learn all about we filmmakers, more about Doug. All the social platforms are on there. And then once we go live, we have a crowd finishing campaign that we're doing. So I'm very proud, I want to say. We were able to raise all the funds to shoot principal photography on our own. So we have private investors that believed in the film, and we were able to do that on our own, which is unprecedented typically for an independent film. The hard part that we're having right now is, in order to finish the film and pay for music rights and to get an editor and to go to all the film festivals, because when people see Sundance and Cannes online or on TV, they think, "Oh, look, all the actors went to Cannes." Well, you know what? They had to pay to get them there. You have to pay to have your film in there. You hope you get picked.
yeah.
Well, all of that takes money. So what we're asking is, anyone that would like to help us out, never any pressure. When the campaign goes live, we will make a big announcement on all social medias. Doug has been gracious enough to donate some items from his personal archives, like signed original shooting scripts, prosthetics from Star Trek Discovery, bunch of other stuff. Some of his castmates have signed photographs for us that are printed in limited editions. And so we're trying to offer some cool things, and we're asking anyone, big or small, if you can help us get this story told, we would greatly appreciate it. But if not, don't worry. As long as you see the film when it comes out, you can follow it on IMDb, put it on your watch list, getmedougjones.com. Whatever your viewers are willing to do for us, we would love it.
And it is still a work in progress.
Yeah,
It needs to be stressed, right? It's not done and out yet at all. There's still a couple things to film, and then of course post-production is going to take a while to pull all this together to make a story out of it.
yeah.
That's going to take a bit.
That's all William's problem.
Yeah, it's yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's why you have the director.
Right, we
There
have
it is.
right.
Well, many thanks, Doug, for the time, for embodying characters in such interesting ways and bringing that humanity through, sometimes in unexpected places in films.
Yeah.
And Derek, thank you so much for bringing Doug's work forefront and for engaging in this and convincing him after 18 years to do a documentary.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.